The website is liako.eu for Europe, for artists around Europe for the moment, right? So obviously I'm starting with a branding with a specific video that explains exactly the three components of my project. A label, Liako Records, and then you have an agency, Liako Agency, and then you have media, Liako Media. These things combined together, as I believe, and with other friends that I'm working with, we believe that it's something that fits together to help the artist in a 360 type of deal to push the artist as much as they can, and of course to show a very good image for the record label. That includes for the agency, including the bookings, and for the media, including, for example, live streamings and other activities. So that's the first page. If you scroll down, there you can see the different projects. Liako Records, Liako Agency, and Liako Media. Still the same thing. If you scroll a bit down, you have a little history of the record label. Well, the background, the philosophy of the label, everything is explained there on the first page. So as you can see, everything is very clear from the start. And so I'm going to show you the three different websites, how I present them, right? Simply. So if I go back here, this is Liako Records. So here I entered the website liako.eu/records. If you scroll down, the first thing you see directly is the catalog, which is the most important thing for a label to show, right? Very clear design. Slides here. You can see the latest release of Carlos Fernandez called Smoke, as Toton also has a remix on that release. If I click on it, the most important thing is to show the links so people can stream it or buy it as soon as possible and have a direct link to Spotify, as you can see. So things are very straightforward. Trying not to add too much design. The information needs to be clear and precise. And also the most important thing is the availability to buy the track on the website as well. Obviously, people prefer to buy in Beatport, but you never know. It's always more important to generate traffic on the website. So that's what we do here with liako.eu/records. So here you have other related releases. Toton, it can be, remember, so that's the release we were talking about. Same thing, different design, of course, different tracks. There were no remixes on that track, for example. So this is a basic example. You can have a description here that shows simply a little background on the release. So that's it, nothing more. This is straightforward. And then obviously if you click the hamburger menu, you have different things that might be also interesting to know about. So you have an about section, explains the record label, and of course the little technical details about Liako releases. And maybe the most important thing for artists nowadays in the menu is the demo submission, right? So here we have a page that allows anyone to send us private SoundCloud links, so we can simply have a look if there's good content, if we think that it would be a good idea to sign this artist on our page. So you're already familiar with demo submission, I guess. This is pretty straightforward. So let's move on and to the agency section. So here we're trying to focus on bookings, right? This is the other most important part in the music industry when we have a record label or as an artist, is to make bookings, because as some of you might know, the bookings are the biggest revenue of your artist's life. So obviously it's also a very important factor for a record label that actually creates events and that would like to promote its artists. And for the artist as well, it's very important to have an agency to be able to promote itself around different countries and play around and meet new DJs, new promoters, and move on with DJ bookings, of course. So here we have all the different artists, the same that are on the labels. As you can see, Toton is here as well. Top right, here myself. Top left, Carlos Fernandez here. Rat, an excellent artist as well from Cyprus. John Veloudis from Greece, and Revoice from Barcelona. We have some more artists coming up, of course, but for now, obviously, there's a big difference between releasing material on the label and being part of the agency. So that requires a lot of more details, more technical skills, like be able to DJ correctly live, but also to perform as a live performance, as a live performer. So let's move on to the media section, which is also one of the most used, obviously, online. So this is a little video that explains what we do in the media section. So we have services, right? Like under Liako Records and Liako Agency, we provide services for our artists, even for external artists, but more specifically to help our artists as a 360 type platform. If I scroll down, you find the latest streamings that we've made with Liako Records from Home, which is our live streaming broadcast that we made during the COVID situation. So we managed to travel to different locations to be able to to be able to stream as much as we can and provide more music on the web. So obviously I'm not going to play now, always. You will hear some pure techno hitting. Yes, tell me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
One thing you said about the services. Basically, if you, let's say you sign in an artist that has great ideas, great music, but the mix is not as good, up to the par. Do you also do that service?
Exactly. So I was going to get to that part, of course, during my questions and answers, but I'm going to show you the services anyway here. So if you press a little hamburger here on this website, you have a live streaming section, which you have it's a service for any type of DJ will be interesting to using our services, and also have services for artists, for our artists more specifically. But most of the time when we receive content, so if you want to know more in detail about the demo submission, if you receive content, of course, we are focusing on the quality of the creativity part. Of course, mixing is always subjective, so we can make the mixing and the mastering for the artist. And most of the time, we do always the mastering. Now, if the mixing is good enough, that's all good for us. If we think there's something to improve on the mixing, we can also do the mixing part, of course. So yeah, so we have this service included as well for artists and when you artists, of course. So if you like to send us any demos, not to worry too much about the mix. I know it's a very important factor, but here, as I mentioned, on the Liako Records, we're looking to help the artist as much as possible as a 360 platform, as I mentioned again, to boost the artist as much as possible, right? Because on the Liako Records, we think that the most important bit is the creativity of the artist. So the rest, mixing, mastering, as I mentioned, is very subjective. Other record labels will require the artist to send it for mixing or mastering and pay for it, or some of them also have their own mixing engineers and mastering labels. Sorry, mastering studios, where they'll be able to mix them, to send all their content for mixing and mastering. So yeah, it depends on all labels. All labels are different, but I will get that more into details later on. So here, just to show you exactly what kind of service we're talking about, right? So there are audio services packages. As I mentioned, we're talking about audio mixing, right? Sound design, audio recording, right? Like because obviously synthesizer processing, re-recording, or even vocals recording is also very important, or any types of instruments. So we do that as well. Obviously now, depending on the location, might be a bit more difficult if we're artists. artists that are located close to Spain, to Belgium, or to Greece, we have studios there, so where we can work with, of course. And of course, digital mastering. So this is the bit that we really careful on. So this is the last step before the track will be released, right? So this is, of course, very important for us to mastering the track. I master the track. I have other friends with who I'm working with. I also master the tracks depending on types of genre or subgenre. I know some of my friends have more preferences for certain specific genres to master the track. And of course, audio editing, which is the last one here, as you can see in this section. Audio editing is always very important. We're talking about clicks. Well, you know, also talking about the different sections of the track, right? Arrangements, more specifically. Arrangement is very important as well. So if we're talking about creativity, the arrangement might not always be there. So we're there to help the artist as well to make a better arrangement eventually, talking about build-ups, intros, outros, breaks, drops. You know, the most important, well, pieces in a track in electronic dance music. So yeah, we work on this as well in our studio. So this is all for the audio services package. Then we have a visual service package. Of course, as you know, we do streamings as well. So obviously we have location filming, we have video editing, visual effects and animation. Only talking about 2D animation, of course. We're not getting too much into 3D. We have external friends, workers that work very well in 3D as well. More projects coming up with 3D animation, of course, but that will be always an external service. And of course, color grading. Well, this is a little bit that you understand, like shows the glimpse, the full processing. It's kind of a mastering for audio, but for films. So obviously we're taking care of having footages that are well filtered, colored, graded correctly on all the timeline of the film. And of course, if needed, we have conversion processing. So obviously we receive content in different types of formats and we convert them. Sometimes we get even 8 to 16 millimeter films. So encoding this analogic films into computers, we do that as well. We do a lot of, well, conversion processing in general, even in the box with After Effects and Premiere Pro. We have all the licenses, of course, with all these video editing tools. And then we have photo services, of course, taking photos for our artists, corporate photo as well, because we've been working as well with small businesses and corporations before. So obviously this remains a service as well. Product photography as well, as you can see, this is obviously part of the releases, right? All the covers that you've seen are part of this service. Processing as well. Obviously there we're talking about Adobe Lightroom for any photographers in the room. And obviously photo retouching, because between us, it's important to know that any product needs to be presentable somehow. I mean, when we're taking photos of artists, obviously a certain person may have a mole here. Obviously, if it's natural, we're not going to remove it. These kind of things we don't remove. We try to be as authentic as possible. So we don't retouch too much, but there's some certain factors about the background, about the colors, about the shape of the artist on the photo that might have to be retouched. So we obviously retouch some photos as well. And then the last package, which of course everything I'm showing you right now on the website is part of it. So we have some graphic design, web design that you actually this website, for example, works on WordPress. We're working as well with Joomla. These are CMS platforms. So we're working with these to build websites. We're working a lot with MySQL databases, of course. We do a lot of corporate design, webmaster as well. So we webmaster other websites and editorial publishing. So this is linked to brochures that we're presenting for our potential promoters, potential clubs that might be able to book us for our Liako agency showcases. So all these brochures are made within design, more specifically. So it's important to have some publishing, editorial publishing to have a correct content. So yes, so I wanted to show you, as we are on the design services packages, I wanted to show you something very interesting. So basically here at Liako, we have a certain platform, right? Like a client platform or artist platform where you can log in if you are part of us as an artist. You can upload, download material, photos, so we can exchange all that without having to transfer things on Facebook, WhatsApp, or any other platform. So everything is transferred internally. We have a calendar. So I can show you that pretty quickly, as it would be nice to move on as well with a few questions linked to you guys as the artists, right? But here there's a platform, so cloud.liako.eu. If I log in here, for example, just to show you quickly. So this is what, for example, Toton or Andy or Sopa have been working with to transfer information right on this platform. So here I have all the files. I have a list of artists here, so you can see all the artists on Liako Records at the moment. So that's where I share content with the artist of the label. You can browse photos. You can see the activity. You can also talk. So video conferences as well can be done as well on our platform. You have a calendar where you have all these releases, right? When they're coming out. So of course it loads a bit. It's not as fast as Facebook, obviously, but you know, always building and developing our own platforms. It's always good for professional use, right? So yeah, it's today. We have the Kino ARMATA guest lecture right here, as you can see. Then we have an audio player, so you can listen to the demos as well. So some materials when they are mixing and mastering, you can hear them directly on the platform. And then most importantly, talk about transparency, because I think it's the most important part of what we try to do is, for example, here I have the latest release that came out. So the artist and the remixes and the producer and any mix and mastering engineer, and of course me as the manager of a label, can check the process of the release step by step. So talking about production, processing, and marketing. So these are the three sections that we're working carefully, so that nothing is forgotten, so that everyone is aware at what moments what's going on with the release, right? So artists and remixes don't need to ask me anything. They just can go on the platform, login, and see exactly what has been done and what hasn't been done. And then you can write notes if you require any further details on that. So this is the tool that we're using the most when we are working on our releases. I think it works correctly with for everybody. It shows transparency. It shows clear content of what has been created and not what still needs to be created. Clear timeline, deadlines as well to respect, and of course who does what. Understand fully, like in a release, there's always, as I mentioned, there's me as a manager. You have producers, mixers, mastering engineers as well. You have the artist and you have the remixes. So that makes quite a lot of people. So there we finally have a platform where you can, well, have a look and know exactly what's going on in the process of your release. So there you go. So that's it for that little platform. There's also a tax section, but it's all an artist has a certain idea. He can just simply posted in Liako Records idea. So we're always open to have further ideas for the label.